Good afternoon and welcome to Alumni Field here at the University of Windsor, the site of Ontario Football Conference action on we-tv.ca. My name is Dominic Papa. Joining us on our broadcast today, color commentator, former FRATMEN great, all-Canadian Badie Kwas. Good afternoon to you, Badie. Thanks for helping us out here today. Week number 2 for the FRATMEN. They're coming off a 30-7 setback last week against the Edmonton Huskies. The first time we've ever witnessed interleague play here in the CJFL level. I think the FRATMEN showed pretty good signs last week, Badie, but certainly kind of shot themselves in the foot. Coach LaChance, I'm sure, addressed that this week at practice.
Absolutely. On paper, it looked like they were extremely competitive. On paper, if you remove one stat, which would have been the number of penalties, and then a secondary stat, which was untimely turnovers, you probably would guess that the FRATMEN probably won that game last week. Unfortunately, as you said, they are on the short end of a 30-7 defeat to Edmonton and looking to right the ship here in week 2.
All right. And the team that's in town to try to avoid them from doing that is the Niagara Raiders. Now, this is, I guess, you can say it's a new team, but really not a new team. Formerly the Burlington Braves, they've moved up the highway. They are now based out of St. Catharines, Ontario. Didn't have a great year last year, Badie. Talking to Coach Anderson just before our broadcast here today, it's a work in progress for this team.
Yeah, the biggest problem most startup franchises, and I know they're coming from the Burlington Braves, is always the big bodies. And that's going to be a challenge all the time. If you have athletes, you want to be able to showcase those athletes. But part of the problem is you have to protect those athletes a little bit. And that's probably going to be the biggest challenge. And I know Coach Anderson wants to be competitive week in, week out. And it's going to have to start with the play of the bigs.
The numbers there, today I believe he's got around 32 players dressed. Obviously, you want bigger numbers than that, but how tough does that make it to come into this place, the FRATMEN, and play this FRATMEN team with those type of numbers?
Fortunately for them, at least the weather shouldn't be a major concern. We're not expecting 100-degree weather today here in Windsor, but the depth is always a concern. The great teams always seem to have those depths where if somebody does go down, next man up mentality really comes into play. When you have 32, the margin for error is so slim that once you lose one key player, you really can't necessarily up that level of competition. So the concern for him is going to be walking out of here as healthy as possible and trying to utilize the talent he does have, even though it's a short roster.
You mentioned earlier, Badie, that the penalties hurt the FRATMEN last week. Obviously, that I'm sure was addressed. What else will be key here today for Coach LaChance and his squad to be effective here, to be consistent, and to get the job done?
Well, speaking with Coach LaChance, I know he wants to make better play calls in the red zone. Based on everything he told me, they were able to move the ball between the 20s last week all game long. And he has to do a better job of selecting the correct plays in the scoring areas. And when you are in the scoring areas, you must come away with points. Walking away with turnovers on downs, and 0 points is unacceptable. And I know his focus is going to be on attacking those green zones. I know they call them the red zone, but green is pay dirt, and that's what you want to do, and you have to come away with major touchdowns.
Show me the money. That's what they want. Badie, good stuff. When we come back to Alumni Field, it's the opening kickoff OFC football action here on we-tv.ca. More for you right after these words.
I learn by doing. I learn by reacting to a situation. St. Clair puts me directly into my industry. I'm dealing with real patients, real life situations. It's not just theory, it's not book work anymore. I choose to take control of my future and my path to St. Clair College. I choose to be here.
Welcome back to Alumni Field. We are set to kick off this OFC game between the Niagara Regional Raiders and the Windsor AKO FRATMEN. We are underway here at Alumni Field. Dominic Papa along with Badie Kwas. Aaron Saunders working the sidelines for us, and the hard-working crew here at We-TV. Niagara takes the ball to get out to, it looks like about their 17-yard line. That's where they'll have their first offensive series of the game. And the FRATMEN obviously starting on defense. Badie, our officiating staff for this afternoon.
Yeah, you are looking at the white hat there, and that is the referee, Mr. Bruce Carter. Your umpire today is going to be Alex Jemmy. Your back umpire is Kirk Hayes. Side judge will be Brent Webster. Joe Cooper will serve as your head linesman, and John Dodson will be your line judge. And your back judge today will be Jay Schroeder.
Okay, good officiating crew here to help us along with this game. 1st and 10 for the Raiders, and right away it looks like some miscommunication in the backfield. And taking the hit is the quarterback, Bryson Mitchell.
Yeah, that was obviously a complete miscommunication. The back was lost in the wash. He didn't know who to pick up as there was a convergence between Matt Chamberlain and Pren Dunaha, who met at the quarterback, and the running back really was in limbo trying to figure out who should I pick up. He didn't pick up either one, resulting in about a 5-yard loss.
Defensive offside, 5 yards.
But we just missed something as the announcer tells us that there was a flag, so there was an offsides, which is going to give a break to the Raiders as they now are 1st and 5.
Yeah, exactly. We did miss that. We apologize. Get our game day going here, our game faces going. That pass, I think, is incomplete. Yes, indeed it was. Mitchell looking for Isaac Beek, number 17.
Yeah, that has to be completed. You just get the break of getting a 1st and 5 situation. Receiver runs a relatively simple route. The quarterback had time. It was open. It was an unforced error. You already know you're shorthanded as it is. You might as well try to move the sticks and keep your offense on the field. So an early miscue. Hopefully they can clean that up.
2nd down and 5 to go here for the Raiders. Mitchell feeling some heat, gets the pass off. He's picked off by Spencer Trinier, I should say. And the Fratmen will have outstanding field position thanks to the fine defensive play by Spencer Trinier.
Yeah, Spencer really confused the quarterback. He watched the quarterback's eyes the entire time. You see it in the screen. He just moved to where the quarterback's eyes were. And he literally came off his own coverage zone. He looked like he started leaking towards the flats, but watched the quarterback's eyes go right to that B-seam curl, stepped in front of it. And fortunately for the Raiders, he was brought down, and that does set up the Fratmen at great field position at the 19-yard line working in.
1st and 10 for the Fratmen, their first offensive set for the game. Of course, the quarterback, Brandon Ream, number 1. Hands off to Jacoby Jones, number 22. Jones battling hard and gets inside the 5 down to about the 3-yard line.
And the Fratmen early on dodge a miscue, a high snap, which throws the timing off, and Jacoby almost had to go up and get it. Fortunately, he broke a tackle at the line of scrimmage, and this young man does have some absolute talent in the open field. Very rarely does he take a big hit, and as you saw there, he squirmed his way all the way down inside the 5-yard line.
1st and goal for the Fratmen as they are threatening to open up the scoring here very early on as we're just underway. And we in this. They signal a touchdown. Touchdown, Fratmen. They score first. They lead it 6-0. It's Jacoby Jones finishing it off. A 3-yard run-in, and AKO leads it.
And make no mistake, Jacoby Jones is a running back. He lines up in the slot, but they just motion him all the way across. That is a straight running play to a running back, not a slot receiver to a jet sweep. That was a power play just from a different position to start for the running back. Jacoby, once he put his foot in the ground and saw a hole, he knifed forward. He only needed the 4 yards. He was able to get his shoulders across as you see the extra point go through to give the Fratmen a 7-0 lead early on in this contest.
Andrew Beaton with the point after. They lead at 1-0. The Burlington, I knew I was going to do that, Badie. I even said it to everybody. I said I'm going to call them the Burlington Braves at one point. I apologize, the Niagara Raiders.
Yeah, I will likely say that a couple times too.
Well,
I played.
The uniforms are exactly the same. They've got Niagara written across the chest now, but same blue and gold uniform scheme there. So.
Only thing different in me is those helmets. I know Burlington themselves had the yellow buckets.
Exactly.
These ones are the blue.
Yeah.
But either way, they did migrate from the Burlington franchise area into this St. Catharines region for the Niagara.
Coach Anderson told me before the game it's a work in progress. They're excited and they're looking forward to good things. They just set up a deal with Brock University, from what I understand. So they're putting the bases down for a good program there, and hopefully it works out. That kick again, hard to control. Isaac Beek with the return, maybe gets a yard back. That ball kind of squibbled away from him. There is a flag on the play again.
Was a real good kick for the Fratmen in the sense that it was able to get outside the numbers and stay in play. And like you said, there is a flag. It looks like they're looking or pointing in the direction of the Burlington, and I just said it,
there you go.
Niagara team. So we'll see what's going to happen. It looks like they're going to move the distance to the 1 yard line, which people might wonder why it's not a half yard. Mr. Carter is indicating that there's a rough play. Any unnecessary roughness, in this case probably a block in the back, the full yardage is walked off, which is why it went all the way to the 1 yard line rather than what you traditionally see in CFL or NFL football where it's half the distance to the goal.
So Niagara with their backs right up against the wall, and this play is blown down before it even takes off. There's a flag.
Yeah, I think there was about 6 players moving.
Yep.
Unfortunately, 3 of them were from the FRATMEN and moved across the line of scrimmage prior, and that is indeed the case, as you see the indication from Mr. Carter. So another break for the Raiders, who are going to move up 5 yards and give themselves a 1st and 5, much like their first possession, a very manageable down.
A little bit of breathing room for them, as Buddy alludes to. Bryson Mitchell, number 19. We'll try to make something happen here. Quick handoff. The snap wasn't too clean again, as Mitchell had to reach over for it. But a good effort to salvages the play, and looks like Niagara picks up 3 yards. It was Joe Luchitson with the carry that time.
The key word you said there, Dominic, was effort. Initially, he was met maybe at a 1 yard gain, and he pushed himself forward all the way to the just short of the 10, which is going to give them a yard. I'm not going to speculate that they're going to go for it on 3rd down, but you almost hope that they convert a yard in Canadian football, given you have the 1 yard neutral zone.
And that's indeed what they do need, is that yard. Flags again. Again, just... Of course, this is the first game of the year for Niagara. The FRATMEN had their game last week with Edmonton, got to work out some of the bugs this week, but Niagara has yet to have any game. They did play an exhibition game against an American team, but that's about it. Offside indicated by referee Carter. So you can see some of the timing even there, but he is off a little bit.
No doubt you see slot receivers who aren't used to maybe the actual game speed. Exhibition games are fine and dandy, but you're playing a live football game right now, and the timing and the cadence of the quarterback, everything has to be crisp nowadays when you do these spread offenses. Everything's in the shotgun. You do not want to have any mistimed plays, and in this case you have a receiver who is probably spread out 10-15 yards away from the ball. You need 1 yard, goes offside, which drives coaches crazy.
Lateral to Lucician. I'm going to have a hard time with that name, just the way it's spelled.
Yeah.
Lucician. And he gets sacked for the safety. Looks
and
like Chamberlain.
You see on the play, he clutched. I think they were going to try a little pitch pass, because you saw the quarterback, Lucician, grab and move the ball to his right hand, which at this point in time, if he did get sacked or there was no one open, they were likely conceding the safety anyway. So not bad. They never did execute the throw off the pitch, but the FRATMEN do get 2 points off the safety. I think it's important here, if you are Niagara, to put yourself in position to play defense and give yourself field position. The only way they're going to be competitive this entire season, forget just this game and early in this game, when you're shorthanded, you have to give yourself shorter fields so that when you do get 2 or 3 plays in a row that are actually pretty good, you can capitalize on them. When you only have 32 players, you're going to have a hard time going 100 yards.
Cam McPherson taking care of the kicking duties for Niagara. And I believe this is going to be Brandon McCraney for the FRATMEN. A good return as he turns it upfield. And he's finally knocked out of bounds at about the AKO. Looks like they're going to sponsor it at about the 48.
And our camera shot of Brandon, that was not altered in any way. He is that small. He is not what you would call a giant, but he plays very, very big.
Our game today is brought to you by our presenting partner. I want to give him a shout out, of course, Mr. Harold Remark. Yes, right there from Royal LePage Binder Real Estate. Harold, the exclusive title sponsor of Fratman football here on WE-TV. We thank Harold for his continued support and generosity of Fratman football and WE-TV. 1st and 10 for the Fratmen. They are up 9-0. Just over 10 minutes to go here in the first quarter. We're coming to you live from Alumni Field. Riem going to air one out, has a receiver in the area, and he does connect with Devin Woods. Woods still picking up yards, fighting for more. Woods finally taken out of bounds. Looks like he's got right into the 10-yard line. So a huge pass play put together by the Fratmen. Riem to Woods.
As you see here on the replay, Brandon was able to get this ball up to his big, tall receiver. His big, tall receiver was able to come back to the ball and was able to shed most of that tackle until he's brought down inside the 10-yard line. A good opening pass for Brandon Riem.
Stephen Byko saves the touchdown there. Without that tackle, Woods is in for 6. Ball right at the 10-yard line. Riem looks over, finds Woods again. Woods down to the 5. He's taken down.
And that's something Coach LaChance wanted Brandon to address this week. Take a look, see the player that you believe is going to be open, and then deliver a strike. Albeit a short completion of 4 yards, it's a completion in a safe spot to a big target. So that's something that I'm pretty sure he's emphasized all week, and you want to see it executed, and that was executed.
2nd and 5 for the Fratmen, I should say. Riem looking left this time, gets the pass off wide open. For the Fratmen is Thomas Poulier, number 20.
Yeah,
touchdown Fratmen.
You'll see here on the replay, there was no one anywhere near. They just run a simple rub, and I'm guessing Niagara was in man, and the cross action confused the inside defensive back who went to the outside, and the corner squatted with the outside receiver as well, so the slant comes underneath it wide open, which was great that Brandon was able to see that and make the simple completion.
Fratmen are going to go for 2 here, I believe, Biddy, as Riem stays in the game. They're up 15-0 now.
My guess is they're doing this. They needed red zone practice.
I agree with you. After last week, I would agree with you. Riem again puts the ball up, and similar play to number 20. He goes to Thomas Poulier, and it's good. The 2-point conversion works. So Windsor, they're saying they're okay. I'm a little bit confused here.
Yeah, I am.
That was
too.
a replay. There was a penalty apparently.
Unless there was a premature whistle. There was no indication from Mr. Carter.
I didn't see anything called.
So I guess we're being told from our booth that there was an offsides on the play, but we didn't.
I didn't see a flag.
Neither did I, and ultimately we did not see an indication. Nonetheless, you do have the extra point after a touchdown, so he's not trying to practice his red zone. He just had to actually scored because the other play was offside.
I think Coach LaChance would get as much practice in as he could anyway. So
yeah.
16-0, as you can see, the Niagara team regrouping on their sideline there, and I'm sure Coach Anderson, I really was impressed with Coach Anderson talking to him before the game, but he's got such a positive outlook and really believes in the coaching staff. He's really excited about the coaching staff he's put in place. He talked about the affiliation with Brock University. He said the stadium where they're playing is very, very nice. They're very happy with that. So he says all the building blocks are being put in place. He says it's going to need some time, some patience, and as he said we just want to be competitive every game this year and see where it takes us and go from there. But really impressed with his outlook, really impressed with his approach. And boy, oh boy, if his energy rubs off on people, this Niagara team will be competitive and will get things turned around in a hurry.
Yeah, and the measuring stick is always against the better teams, and this Fratmen program has been around for a whole boatload of years, and they've been the class of the league the last handful of years, winning 3 of the last 4 championships. And it's just one of these situations where yeah, you're going up against this organization who is possibly the favorite to win the OFC this year, despite their loss last week. And you have to battle this uphill climb traveling down the 401 opening game of the year against maybe the top team in the league. But you have to do things in spurts, and if his enthusiasm transfers over to his players, what you're going to see is a series of plays that are going to be reflective of him: effort, relentless work, and if you come up short, so be it.
Fumble there, and right away the quarterback, Bryson Mitchell, just falls on it. Smart heads-up play there by the QB.
And this is a product of, you have offensive linemen on this football field that are probably inexperienced. It's probably their weakest spot. They're playing a team that is relentless with the pressure. So you're bound to see a couple errant snaps because there's bringing the FRATMEN are going to bring blitzes. Coach Morency's going to dial up A gap, double A gap. He's going to bring all kinds of pressure. All you need is a slight little twitch from your center, errant snap.
2nd and 17 now. Again, all kinds of confusion in that Niagara backfield. The timing just looks so off, Badi, and I'm really feeling for quarterback Mitchell right now, and the snaps have been out of place. They've got a lot to work on here, obviously.
Yeah, and this is maybe my conservative nature, and you'll see on the replay a high snap that was sort of hard to the quarterback's left, and then the timing of the handoff, especially when you get pressure in the backfield. I really do believe in the old school model. If you're going to start up and you're going to do things and try to be competitive, keep it as simple as possible. I like seeing a quarterback under center a few times. It's not today's football. I appreciate that. You're likely going to see a safety conceded here to try to play field position. And the kicker's counting out who he has.
Flag on the play. So let's see what this penalty is all about. I'm not sure who this is going to be against. We'll wait for referee Carter.
I'm pretty sure
against
you have
Niagara.
Yeah, you have 13 people against
players,
Niagara. And what a shame too, because I was surprised they kicked it. And the kick actually went out of bounds at around the 45-yard line, which is right around midfield. That's not terrible.
Not bad.
Now they're going to have to back up and try this again. Actually, the FRATMEN decline it.
Let's quickly go down to field level. Aaron Sanders has some news for us. Go ahead, Aaron.
All right, Dom, thank you. And I'm down here to tell you the tale of the tape of the sheriffs in town for both Niagara and Windsor. For Niagara, you got Bryson Mitchell. This is a guy last year that came in, completed 57 of his passes for 708 yards. Then on the other end, you got, for the FRATMEN, you got Brandon Reum, who was the player of the game and player of the week for the OFC last week, completing 17 of his 28 passes for 232 yards. Not bad for the rookie quarterback. And in addition, he played quarterback keeper very much, which really helped out the team as he secured 97 yards. So pay attention to those two quarterbacks, because I will say this will be a shootout for the ages. The sheriffs in town is what to watch. Back to you upstairs.
Thanks a lot, Aaron, as we continue our play here. And this is a long run. This is going to go in for a touchdown. FRATMEN, number 6, D'Angelo Knox, turns on the wheels. And
a simple little counteraction in the Jacoby Jones has already had a couple carries and runs with that jet sweep action. And again, he's a running back who's motioning from the backfield out to the slot. He comes across. The timing of it looked smooth. Before you know it, you get all the action towards Jacoby. Once you get one position player out of position, defensive end, weak side linebacker who doesn't stay home, D'Angelo was able to work off the left edge and walked untouched into the end zone, as you see the FRATMEN trying their third convert of the day.
all FRATMEN in this first quarter, as they have stormed out to a 23-0 lead over the Niagara Raiders.
And this is where it's a detriment to Niagara in the schedule of the league. I already mentioned that they have to come here, but the FRATMEN already played and took a beating last week. They might not have been physically beaten, but they lost 30-7.
Yep.
And they're hungry. maybe the Fratmen are better than Niagara. That's fine. But the fact is, the Fratmen are coming off a loss. Their minds are set on, and they're focused on, we cannot afford to make the same mental mistakes we had last week. And when you compound that with the fact that there's a lot of pride on this sideline from a number of last year's defeat plus the championships from the year before, there's a lot of pride to get back to the winning ways. It doesn't sit well that the Fratmen had a 2-game losing streak. Lost last year's conference final and the opener this year.
Yeah.
That did not sit well, and it's showing right now.
Yeah, they are hungry, that's for sure. And Coach LaChance, after last week's game, vowed that they would be better and that they would be working on this thing. Great kick here by Beaton. Niagara now runs it out. I believe that was number 9. Or check that. David Raza, number 2. And Niagara will take over the ball, 1st and 10. They haven't been able to generate any offense at all.
And it appears the wind has changed. Earlier in pregame, the wind was coming from the north, but it looks like it's moving from the south now, which is why that ball seems to carry a little further, as the Raiders are also facing the wind as a deficit, as well as this talented Fratman squad.
Again, that fumbled off the snap. It's still loose. Play blown down.
Quarterback was not ready for that. The center snapped the ball. Now, I don't know what the call in the huddle was. It was on first sound. It looked like the rest of the offensive line and the receivers were moving, so maybe the quarterback forgot his own cadence, his snap count, and another miscue, which, if you are Coach Anderson, I know you're going to try to be positive with your guys, but you want to keep it as simple as possible and just get positive plays, even if they're only a yard or two.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. They have to put a couple of plays where they do get some positive yardage. Don't have to score a point or anything. Just take some steps here. They lose 4 there, 2nd and 14. Mitchell puts it up, and I believe that's picked off again by Spencer Trenier, his 2nd interception of the game.
Yeah, Spencer's off to a good start. An underthrown ball, and Spencer was just in a blanket coverage here, and you'll see that Mitchell did take a shot there, but he threw it up, and as soon as, and that was number 17, and that was Isaac Beck, turned to look, Spencer's head whipped around. We had a perfect angle shot from our camera crew that showed Spencer was able to turn in perfect rhythm and catch that underthrown ball, and he's shown he has ball skills from his days back in high school, and that sets up Brandon Riem in this Fratman offense with another field position win at the 25-yard line going in.
Riem, pitch pass. He finds Omar Hayes Williams, number 7. And Williams fights his way to a first down and then some.
Well, without being too critical, they did complete the pass and they did get a few yards. But you have to start breaking down the film. Brandon's going to throw it to the outside here, and you see Omar Williams Hayes. But if number 33 sits on his block, he would have had that, and that's Michael Ryan. And again, you don't want to be overly critical in that it's early in the season. Some mistakes are going to be made, but you have coaching points. Once you engage a guy, stay on that guy because you might have had a touchdown. And those little blocks now, the practice at them, become big at the end of the season.
1st and 10 for the Fratmen at the Niagara 14 now, as they have had their way in this first quarter, that's for sure. They lead it 23-0. Looking to put more up on the board here. Riem with all kinds of time. Now he's flushed out of the pocket. Riem is going to run. Riem inside the 5 to about the 4. That should be enough for a first down as he got to the first down marker there.
Yeah, and you'll see on the replay, Brandon check 1, check 2, and then realize, you know what, I have nothing. Eyes down the field the entire time, and then realize that he was not going to be able to throw the ball. He had to pick up yards. The only thing I would like to see him do a little bit better, once he realized he became a runner, tuck that ball away. Protect the ball. You never want it to slip out of your hand, especially when you already have positive yards in your pocket.
Yeah, that ball was out there big time, that's for sure. It is a first down and goal now for the Fratmen as Riem gets the necessary yardage. Riem going to loft one up. And that one overthrown that time. His intended receiver was Omar Hayes-Williams, number 7.
Yeah, that ball got all the way into lane 4. Omar and Brandon have been high school teammates, so their connection has been dating back for some 6-7 years now. I know he knows Omar is athletic. I know he knows Omar is tall, just not that tall.
No. That would have been some incredible athleticism if he was able to haul that one in. 2nd and goal for the Frat. As they're in total control of this game early on. Riem right over to Hayes. This time it connects. Touchdown, Fratman. 29-0. Windsor AKO Fratman.
That was just a simple little slant from the right side of the quarterback this time. And Brandon Look throws a nice little bullet in a position where only his guy is going to catch it, protects the ball, which was a concern last week. They had an interception and a fumble last week. And timely, as you told me in the our pregame discussion, that they made mistakes at the wrong time last week. And this week here, the timing of that was good. They've capitalized off some mistakes from Niagara, and obviously at 30-0 in the first quarter, we are pretty confident in maybe calling this one in favor of the Fratmen.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah, when you look at this game coming in, and again, it's not that you disrespect any teams, but you just look at, and you said it earlier, Badi, the history of the programs, where the programs are at right now. Fratmen come into this game thinking this is a winnable game. We need to win this game. We're at home. This is our house, and we're playing a team that is just not where we are at in our program at this time. So it's fair to say that. Again, I think Coach Anderson's approach was, perfect. What he was saying. Just we want to be competitive. We just want to learn every game, things like that. They're going to take a hard beating today here, obviously. But they're going to have to try to find somewhere to take some of this beating and learn from it. And certainly, the taste that's going to be left in their mouths, Badi, is not going to be good. It's going to be a long ride home back to Niagara. They'll think about it, and you know what? If they're character guys, they will build from it.
Like most times in my coaching career, especially when my time here with the Fratmen and even my time at the high school, I look at it and I was always one of the big fans of think play or not play. When you have talented players, think of a way to get the ball into your playmakers' hands, because good players make good coaches. Great players make great coaches. It's never the other way around. But at this point in time, when you have a short-handed team, if I'm Coach Anderson, I want to think play. I want to think, what's the most positive play I can get to get my guys more confidence? Player for player, we know they're shorthanded. Even on that play there, you look at it and you say, okay, it was a half-yard loss. You've eliminated some of the negatives, like a mistime snap, things like that. But you got to find a play that's going to be that 2 or 3 yard gain where maybe you might get a little confidence that, hey, here's early in our season our go-to play. Find that right now. Your players you probably know. Find your go-to play in the next 3 quarters.
And that's probably a good way to approach it right now. 2nd and 12. Mitchell feeling some heat again. He's been under pressure right from the get-go. The Fratman defense has just been ferocious. And they've been basically getting into the backfield.
Yeah, and the pocket was temporarily there, but you see, when a linebacker has time to dissect and figure out what's going on and then realize, look, the quarterback is just not going anywhere, and I'm going to force him to step up into the pocket and take a shot or throw the ball maybe into double coverage, the game slows down. The Fratmen are not playing with a full blitz package right now. They dropped into coverage.
Punt unit in for Niagara. This is Tierney, or Trinier, I should say, taking the punt. He's going to reverse his run. Flag on the play. Spencer Trenier looking for some blocks now. He continues on down to about the Niagara 25.
I'm pretty sure you're going to get a hold here. The the hardest thing for a blocker to do is maintain your leverage when the ball carrier is going in the opposite direction. Spencer caught the ball inside the 40-yard line, it appeared, going in. If he would have just fallen forward, he would have had the ball at the 35-yard line.
Yep.
No problem. But he wheeled all the way back outside the 50-yard line, right to almost midfield. And your defenders are going to, and there you see the indication, you have a hold. I can't blame a blocker in that case scenario because you never expect your guy to be going backwards. And now that he went backwards, you end up, instead of having the ball at the 35-yard line going in, you're going to start on your side of the field. A positive for the Raiders that maybe they can get some field position if they can force the FRATMEN into a turnover here.
All right. We're obviously into the final seconds of the first quarter. We'll head down right to the field level with Aaron Sanders in just a moment. I believe he has an update for us right after this play here. There's an injury that I'm not aware of. Aaron's obviously working hard on the sidelines. But this should be the final play of the first quarter. And Riem feeling some heat. Gets the screen pass off. D'Angelo Knox now had some blockers, but a great effort there by Cale Rive with a nice tackle. It is going to be a first, or some yardage for the FRATMEN. That will end the first quarter. Let's go right down to field level and check in with Aaron Sanders. He's got some information with us. Aaron?
All right, Dom, thank you. All right, thank you, Dom. I received update from Devin Woods, who was the injured player. He suffered a hip pointer. They're awaiting hospital, so he will not return. Once again, Devin Woods suffered a hip pointer. He will not return for the remainder of this game. Dom?
Thanks a lot, Aaron, for the injury update. And that's the other thing you want to be careful with in a game like this, is not to suffer too many injuries. What's your thoughts on that first quarter, Badi?
Well, obviously, when you see that the FRATMEN were able to put points up on the board, that's a positive if you're Coach LaChance. On that same token, if you are the Raiders, what you want to do is you want to be able to find some positives to come out of this whole game in its entirety. So the goal is going to be to find some plays, find your sort of identity. As you see here, Brandon McCraney taking the jet sweep off the left edge, heading to the right hash, and he finds his way all the way to the 33-yard line for a first down. And again, you might think that that's a receiver. It is not. Brandon McCraney is a running back. Between McCraney, D'Angelo Knox, and Jacoby Jones, those are all runners. Every one of them are going to be lined up in that slot position. They're going to be moving around. But yeah, again, the first quarter, we knew it was going to favor the FRATMEN. You just hope Niagara can find a spark, something on offense, defense, or special teams to hang their hat on. And again, this time they use that jet sweep action, and they use McCraney in that motion, and it's Jacoby Jones who keeps it on that inside power running game. So right now the FRATMEN are able to go inside, they're able to go outside, they're able to throw the ball. So they're doing things that they want to. I know Coach McCurdy said Jacoby has this innate ability to play football. He's just natural. He's a gifted runner, and he's hopeful that this young man can just sort of take the bull by the horns and really accept whatever role he's in. If it's 1 week a blocker, 1 week a receiver, 1 week a primary ball carrier, and whatever works, because he should be on the field almost every single down. And Jacoby Jones makes that great block for D'Angelo Knox right there, who hampers his way all the way down to just inside the 5-yard line.
Thanks for filling in there, Badi. We had some technical issues. We hopefully got them corrected, and that's the one thing about having Badi Quas up here. He can do it all. That's for sure. He can talk football as well as with anybody, as good as anyone.
Yeah, just ask my grade school teachers. I can talk. That's what it was like every parent-teacher interview.
It's all good.
It has worked out. Thank you.
Absolutely, and that's why you're a big help to our broadcast. First and goal for the FRATMEN, as they have been in control of this one right from the get-go.
Riem, again, that little slant pass. Connects, touchdown. Fratman, Omar Hayes Williams.
Touchdown.
Yeah, that was a good connection there. And I think I'm going to give Brandon a little bit more credit here than Omar. Omar looked like he stopped and he started to hook up his route, and I thought Brandon threw him open there. Brandon saw that there was a little bit more of a seam and said, you know what, get into that slot, kid, and he did, and it results in another touchdown completion.
Point after try coming up here with Andrew Beaton. His kick is up and it's through. That will make it the Windsor Fratmen 37. The Niagara Raiders no score.
And now I'm just trying to take a look at the sideline for Niagara. I'm actually pleasantly surprised that I'm not seeing people just down on a knee. They're not head down entirely. I see some of the linemen jogging off the field, jogging on the field. You will notice that half the players that were just on the field remained on the field because their depth just isn't there. They have to stay on the field for even the special teams. But that's going to be another challenge for the coaching staff, making sure his sideline stays as positive as possible. I don't think you're going to find that the Fratmen are going to try to embarrass Niagara.
No, I'm sure Coach LaChance wants to give his starters some playing time, especially after the game last week. But I'm sure at some point, probably in the second half, I'm sure Coach LaChance will get some of the other playing personnel a chance to get some playing time in.
Well, that's for sure, especially considering the depth chart doesn't list a second quarterback.
Mm-hmm. David Razzo will return the kick for Niagara. He looks like he's going to set up, get it out to about the 28. That's where the Raiders will take over.
And there's a positive. They were able to get about, and you see the players, they're just a little winded. A lot of them are playing on every special team there. It's not extremely hot, but they're gonna give it their all. I guess, again, my demeanor is I don't think they're just down completely on themselves. You see the coach talking to them. They're getting coached up. That's important. It is game one of the season. So work your way through those struggles.
So let's see what Mitchell can do here. Again, he's looking left right away, puts it up. And Trenier comes up with his third interception. That was a beautiful catch, actually, but he over the shoulder. Trenier still up. Trenier now all the way inside the Niagara end, down to about the 29-yard line. What an afternoon for Spencer Trenier.
Oh, he is having just a wonderful, wonderful day. You just look, and it's just straight drop and throw. And what you're looking for is that sort of smash route from the slot receiver. But the slot receiver has to get himself outside. He has to flip that corner, or in this case, it looked like it was the halfback. He has to get him to the inside. So I believe the quarterback intended to throw it to the outside there. Instead, as you said, Willie Mays over the shoulder. Beautiful catch by Spencer Trenier. As we zoom in on him, that's his third interception of this early game. And he sets up the Fratmen with, again, great field position.
Absolutely. First and 10 for the Fratmen at the Niagara 29. They've already put up 37. Riem looks deep. Omar Hayes Williams, did he pull it in?
He did catch the ball, and it's at the 1 yard line.
They are saying he did pull it in at the 1. Absolutely. You called it right there, buddy.
But I'm a little concerned right now because if I counted correctly, Niagara played that play with 10 on the field.
They're a player short.
But they were 2 players short. I think they're still a player short.
That brings up another Fratman first down. First and goal.
I'm only counting 11. So, I mean, maybe they decided they want to play a U.S.-style game, but I'm only counting 11 again. So they're shorthanded again. Yeah,
I got 11 too.
So they had 10. They tried to run someone on. Now they got 11. They got to hammer this out.
Yeah, this has got to get corrected. Riem. Again, wide open. Omar Hayes Williams.
Omar Hayes Williams with the touchdown
That
catch.
looks too easy, buddy, and that's where man down, man short.
Yeah. Way too easy. I'm just wondering why the player came off of this so quickly. Oh, now I know why. He slipped and fell. Yeah, you got a corner who is just bit on the inside route. They ran that slant a couple times earlier for a touchdown. So he did a little sit-down zip back out to the outside. He slipped. Brandon used some athleticism to buy a split-second extra time and found the touchdown completion to Omar William Hayes again. I believe that's their third connection.
Yep. Beaton's kick is good. It's through. And the Fratmen are romping this afternoon as we take a look at Omar Hayes Williams.
Yeah, big talented receiver, big strong hands. He's I wouldn't consider him a blazer, somebody who is going to outrace you all the time. But boy, does he play great positional football. He puts his body in the right spots. He catches the ball away from his hands. I really do believe that he will emerge, and it's not like I'm calling it like a major shocker that he's going to be their number one as we take a look at the Niagara sideline here. And the coaches, they're going to sit them down. They're going to talk to their players again. I'm looking across the field right now, right from our press booth, and I do see the coaches gathering with some of the players trying to work through some of their issues. But the personnel one's going to be a big one. They can't play the game with shorthanded men.
Raza takes the kickoff, and he's wrapped up by Dorian Cremy, number 54.
I believe that young man came out of Kennedy just last year. A physical linebacker. He played last year for the Clippers and joining the Fratmen here in their first year. And quite frankly, I'm not familiar with a lot of these names on the Fratmen squad in the sense that we know that they lost a bunch of players because the age restriction came back down, which is why the Fratmen have joined the CJFL once again. And we saw that interleague play last week here presented to you on we-tv.ca. And the reality of it is the Fratmen, despite the fact being up 44-0, this entire coaching staff is trying to figure out who their team is personnel-wise, because there's a lot of new faces on the field this year.
Coach LaChance's been talking about that with us, and he's saying it's a feeling out process to a degree, and he does feel the team is very talented, but it's going to take a little bit of time to get them all together on the same page.
They do a little, Niagara does a little jet sweep here. They had a positive look initially. Again, maybe fatigue is setting in. Some of these linemen are playing both ways, but you got to sustain your blocks just a little bit longer to create those extra seams so that your jet sweep receiver running back can find a crease and maybe knife forward for 2 or 3 yards. But if I'm coaching right now and I say to Bryson Mitchell, what I would like you to do is when you're taking your pre-snap read, make sure that if you do feel comfortable with something, don't stare that receiver down. Look off the receiver. Practice some things to move. Use some eye movement to move the defensive backfield so that you can find some easier completions.
There it is, a completion as Mitchell finds Andre Gowdy Bailey, number 80. Positive yardage there, Badine?
Absolutely, and now they need about a half a yard. My guess is they're going to go for it here. You have to go for it here, not just because you're losing, not because of anything other than it's Canadian football. You need to practice this play because you never know when it's the difference between a win and a loss. I don't know how Niagara is going to evolve throughout the course of the season. Maybe, just maybe, they do get better, but they need every opportunity. And we do look like we're going to have a timeout.
Yeah.
And that is the indication from Mr. Carter. Niagara wants to talk this one over.
Yeah.
I think it's a good decision by the coach, considering don't treat this like, oh, well, it's third down, let's go for it anywhere. We're down 44. No, it's 0-0 right now. This is a critical play. Convince your guys that this is going to keep that game-winning drive alive.
There are other games this weekend in the OFC. There is another game this afternoon, or I should say it'll take place this evening, and there's a game tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. If you do follow the Ontario Football Conference there, you can see they're Hurricanes will take on the Ottawa Sooners in the nation's capital. That's a 7 o'clock kickoff there tonight. And then the Beefeaters will take on the GTA Grizzlies, a 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. And the GTA Grizzlies will actually be here next week to take on the Fratmen. They'll be playing here at Alumni Field. Game time yet to be determined. We're just trying to sort out the field here. It's a busy place, the Alumni Field. But again, big shout out to the University of Windsor staff for accommodating Fratmen football. A couple of soccer games here later on, buddy.
Oh boy,
with the,
and
WINDSOR
now,
soccer program.
yeah, you are correct. There is a lot of activity here coming on. Now that the OUA season's starting, there's all kinds of action. But we do have some movement along the line of scrimmage, and we do have an illegal procedure against Niagara. I've never been a big advocate on 3rd down and inside of 1 to hard count a team. Get your bigs moving forward on the first sound and explode out. If it's 3rd and 5, line them up in hard count. Maybe you get a free first down. If you don't, you go back 5 and you punt anyway. But when it's 3rd down and 1, you gotta let them go get it. Wasted time out in my assessment. I really do think you have to practice those situations. And that was a missed opportunity for them to practice early in the season.
Bad snap here. Just all kinds of problems right now for the Raiders. Good effort to get the kick off. Flag on the play. It's fielded by Pren Donahue. Dehane, I should say.
Yeah, well, I'm confident that flag is a no yards.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm shocked the play. Here you see the bad snap. Now, the kicker has to know that, listen, you're not going to get anything. Take the safety, give up the 2 points, and play field position. But Cam McPherson, again, maybe he's a rookie. Maybe it's early in the season he tries something. I'm a little surprised that play just wasn't blown dead there. Most of the time when a ball is kicked into a scrum like that, the ball is just blown dead. We're waiting to see the official call. They might just pick up the flag here and say that we're just going to blow it dead at the point, which appears to be the case.
There you go. You're right.
So that is likely the best case scenario. They just didn't blow the whistle. That was the only difference there, which I'm fine with that call. The Fratmen obviously do indeed have a great field position at the 10-yard line.
1st and 10 Fratmen at the Niagara 10. They are looking to add more here. Riem out of the pocket now. Over the middle, looks to the backfield. Picked off. A big defensive play there for the Raiders as David Raza comes up with a good interception.
And that there is exactly why this game matters. You can't make those mistakes at critical points. And here, Brandon's going to learn. You can't be drifting to the right and throwing across the formation. I don't care how open you think somebody is. You can't do that, and he did indeed do that, and that results in a critical turnover.
Looked like Michael Ryan, number 33, was the intended receiver, but a little bit of an uplift on that Niagara bench, as you can see.
Absolutely.
Some congratulatory handshakes going around.
Nothing better than a first down if you're Niagara collectively as a team. You get a turnover after you make a critical error by punting it from your own end zone after a bad snap. If they can just get a single first down here, a single one, then they're going to be like, okay, let's get out of this half and regroup.
Mitchell's pass deflected. He had a little time that in that set there, but
he did, and he threw into a whole boatload of coverage. Now, part of that was the Fratmen were playing a very, very center-oriented zone. They had 3 guys there, but 2 receivers crossed paths, as you'll see in the picture. You only had one under receiver, number 12, at around 10 yards from the line of scrimmage, and it looked like it was number 5 crossing over top of him at about 14 yards.
Yeah, that was John Peel, I think, who was the intended receiver, number 5.
So that again, something they got to see on film and clean up here.
Boy, the snap has been a problem here this afternoon, Biddy. Again, that snap was high left. It hasn't been straight on, and Mitchell has had to really work hard just to take the snaps.
Absolutely. And this time I actually finally think I saw something I liked. The coaching staff, the offensive coordinator, tried to move the pocket. He calculated that there's a good chance there's going to be heavy pressure, and he tried to move the pocket. My concern is I didn't see any flooding of the routes to the quarterback's left. I only saw a vertical. If you're going to sprint somebody across that way, you should almost have 3 layers of routes, under or a safety valve, somebody to the sticks, and somebody vertical.
Punt situation here for Niagara. That's hanging up in the breeze. Fratman again will have excellent field position to start from, as Trenier, who's been all over that ball today, returns the punt. He's down to about the 27-yard line of Niagara. And there's Trenier, who's been one of the busier players today.
Fantastic afternoon. And that's something that I think Coach LaChance and the rest of the staff is looking for, someone to be that consistent special teams performer. The last few years, they've been blessed with having threats in the special teams. You don't want to kick to one guy, well, you're kicking to another guy who can take it to the house. So far, Spencer has shown that he can handle the punts cleanly and pick up positive yards.
Spencer is a very solid athlete for sure. That pass completed as Riem finds Justin Grant. Now we're getting to see some of these other players coming into the game for Coach LaChance.
Absolutely. Now there is a flag on the play. I know it was Joe Cooper who threw it from the side. Was it a pick, some sort of rub, or was it a late hit? Because I could see the argument for maybe a rub, but it looks like they're marching this forward, and that is indeed the indication. So they're going to move this thing to the 5-yard line. So you have a block in the rear, or contact in the rear. I know they're on defense, but you can't hit somebody for player safety in the back.
First and goal for the Fratmen. That play just did not look good from the get-go, buddy.
Not at all, and that actually brings me to a point where I can mention a new rule here in Canadian football. You'll see Brandon fake the run, whip around, he's looking for a little slip screen on the backside, and it was just taken away by Niagara. But there is a new rule in Canadian football that in high school and in this league, that you can intentionally ground the ball from anywhere on the field as long as the ball gets back to the line of scrimmage. Unlike the U.S. where you have to be outside the pocket, the quarterback, as long as that ball gets back to the line of scrimmage, can throw any pass away.
Handoff and battling hard to get into the end zone. Mitch Demchuk, I should say, scores for the Fratmen.
Yeah, and that was a little unfortunate if you're Niagara. You'll see here on the replay, he's caught in the backfield by, I believe, his numbered counterpart, number 28, or unless it was 29, Austin Price. Had him wrapped up in the backfield, just didn't bring the rest of his feet to the party, and you were able to see Damchuk break that tackle and walk his way into the end zone, extending the lead now with that extra point to 51-0.
So the Fratmen continue to find ways of putting it into the end zone. Some of these second string players now getting playing time as we expected.
And the hardest thing is going to be up front with your big bodies. Most dress rosters, very rarely do you dress more than like 7 offensive linemen. They just don't serve any extra purpose on special teams. So you load up on perimeter, defensive back, and linebacker core. So now you see a coach working with his athletes. Again, I love the positive idea, talking to them. I'm a big advocate of don't yell and berate your player. Don't embarrass them. They're willing to listen. Tell them what they did wrong. It looks like he's coaching up his player there. Kudos to the coach. Hey, score means nothing. You're coaching a season, and this just happens to be one blip on the radar in that season.
This is going to be Liam Garvey, number 12, taking the kick for the Raiders. He's taken down at about his own 24-yard line.
Isaac Beek with a kick return.
Well, they say it was Isaac Beek actually with the kick return.
Brought down at the 24-yard line.
Now, I do see a handful of substitutions on the defensive side right now. There appears to be as many as 8, 9, 10 new bodies on the field. I'm not sure there's even a full 12 right now. It appears they do have 12, but you have a whole new, it looks like a whole new defensive backfield for the Fratmen.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of the starters are sitting on the bench.
Pre-snap whistle, which means there must have been some sort of encroachment. There must have been a receiver well ahead of the line of scrimmage before the play even started. Got to tidy up those mistakes.
Although I do see Adam Slickbauer, number 99 for the Fratmen, still in there.
Yeah.
Mind you, you would have to fight him to get him out of the lineup.
Again, it's a position that they might not have a tremendous amount of depth dressed today. They probably have depth. They're not going to dress 10 defensive linemen. They're probably going to have 6. They play 4. You pick up a couple taxi squad players, but that's about it.
That ball is fumbled, and let's see who come up with it here.
I hear second down all the way from our booth from field level, so it does appear that Niagara did recover that. But mis-exchange in the backfield. I know the coaches, you'll see here on the replay, they're trying to find something. That was just knocked out. He just loosely handling the ball. I do try to teach the ball in the outside arm. Some people aren't capable of that. They have stronger arms, but that ball was on the inside. An inside defender grazes your arm. If the ball was on the outside, you'd likely have a better chance of avoiding a brushed contact fumble. Fortunately, they didn't lose it, but they did lose yards, and it's second down and about 17.
That pass complete. Mitchell finds, again, number 80, Andre Goody Bailey.
Andre Goody Bailey with the catch.
And that's something that they had open earlier, and they just didn't come to it. It's a shame because they had that first down off the very first drive where it was 1st and 5. They had a simple little hook if they had completed it. I don't know if they have a first down. I'm pretty sure they haven't gained any.
They haven't had a first down yet. But
so you had an opportunity, your very first possession, and now you have 3 minutes left in the half, and you haven't gained the yards. They're probably, frankly, between the fumbles and the losses and the sacks and negative yardage for the game.
I'm sure they are.
You gotta find that.
That reception there got them almost back to the original line of scrimmage, about half a yard short. McPherson just gets that kick off. It's going to be a flag here. Trenier picks it up, looking for some room now, trying to get to the outside. Trenier being angled off, fights off a tackle. A good block there as Trenier continues to move, and he's finally taken down. It looks like he's hauled down at about the 38 or 37-yard line of Niagara.
Yeah, and it's going to be a no yards call. It did bounce. Even on an inadvertent contact, that kicked off of Trenier's leg. It's going to be a 5-yard advancement. So from the end of the run,
we have a player down at the Niagara bench there.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was from the block or from exhaustion. It's a lineman number 58, and it looked like he was running, and he just ran out of steam, and he is just winded. You see him on the sideline. So you get your bigs hustling down the field, trying to cover the kick, and they just fall in exhaustion.
Yeah, there's going to be, and you got to be careful. There's a look at the Niagara player that's down.
And that's the running back, Joe Lashishin.
Joe Lashishin, number 3. 3-minute warning issued by referee Bruce Carter. Fratman 1st and 10 at the Niagara 33. Riem out of the pocket. He's going to run it, gets a block downfield. Riem still up on his feet, finally hauled down at about the 17-yard line.
All right, Brandon's an athlete. Brandon's
for sure
been known as an athlete, and he's capable of doing that. Brandon, I need you to use your brain a little bit here. You're up 50. It's week 2. Once you got the yardage, go down, please. You don't need those extra yards. You had the first down. You were in a position to protect yourself, especially when I'm looking at this depth chart and there's only one quarterback on it. Brandon needs to do a better job of making sure he doesn't get hurt. That's on him.
Spot the ball at the 18, 1st and 10. Wide open.
Yeah.
Too easy. Justin Grant, number 87. Touchdown, Fratman. Again, just missed coverage there, buddy.
Yeah, and you see, Brandon, we just missed it, but Brandon pointed that out. He realized that there was a blown coverage, and he flat out just told Justin, go, because I'm going to throw you a touchdown. And that's indeed what happened. Go, and he threw him a touchdown. I don't know if people are going to construe this as, well, why are you throwing that late in the game or with that lead? There's no evidence right now that Niagara can stop the run or the pass. So
exactly.
I don't know. You can try to keep the game moving along maybe a little faster on the ground, but at some point in time, I'm sure the coaches are going to agree to maybe run this clock a little bit in the second half. But both teams have things to practice. My concern is going to be, if you're Niagara, as long as you're physically capable of finishing this game, you got to finish it tough. Doesn't look like an infirmary over there. I know the Sishin is limping around over on the track across from us. But beyond that, the guys, okay, they're tired. I get that. As long as it doesn't become a major factor with 32. And there you see again on the sideline.
Coach Anderson right there in the middle of your screen. And he's talking it up with his guys.
And I like the fact that the players are still communicating, talking to each other. That's important. They knew. I think they were realistic, knowing full well that winning this game wasn't necessarily the priority. It was being competitive. They've had a few spurts of competitiveness. What they got to try to do is put together a series of competitiveness. One good offensive series. Maybe a 2-and-out on defense.
That kick mishandled by Raza. He picks it up at about the 3. Looking for some blocks now, and good pursuit by the Fratmen. Looks like Dominic Damas may have got to him first, number 26.
And that's where Coach Anderson really needs to focus on.
Mention our game next week. The GTA Grizzlies will be here to take on the Fratmen. Grizzlies making it into the playoffs last year. One of the more improving programs in the OFC, so it'll be interesting to see what they bring to the table this year. Game time is to be announced. You could check WeTV.ca for the official start time of the game. I'm anticipating it being an early afternoon game again, nobody, but they haven't actually set the time just yet. But you can check back, like I said, at WeTV, and there'll be an announcement, I'm sure, as soon as it's confirmed.
For sure. Based on my impression of GTA from last year and now being in the league a few years, I don't think they're going to be intimidated. They might be outmatched, but I don't think they're going to be intimidated.
There's a good looking pass there from Mitchell, and he found what looks like to be his favorite receiver, Andre Goody Bailey, and maybe that's the situation that you were talking about earlier, Biddy. Something that Mitchell's good with, and he's found a target, and now he's getting him the ball. Maybe you can't go to him every play. I understand that, but you know what? They found something here that's working a little bit.
Yeah, and that gave a great camera angle of just some simple things with the mechanics. Quarterbacks switching, flipping the ball around quickly. They got to tidy that up even. A lot of quarterbacks on short throws like that don't even grab the seams. They just get that ball out quickly, protecting the receiver a little more because Jalen Butcher did lay a pretty good lick there on the intended target.
They picked up 6 there, and again, Mitchell trying to get the first down here. That pass intended for Liam Garvey doesn't connect, but again, you look at Mitchell, when he does get time to throw that ball, he's got a nice spiral. It's nice and tight. And he's a big, tall quarterback.
He does. I just don't know why they're throwing it in the direction of Trinier. That was Spencer once again who defended that ball, and he was in pretty good coverage. Go to the well a couple times. Force maybe the Fratmen to change something. If you can keep completing those 6-7 yard hooks in that short B seam, keep doing it.
3rd and 4 is the situation for Niagara. Mitchell does stay in the game. And again, I think Badi mentioned this earlier. Why not? A little hitch pass here. That time intended for Isaac Beek. He couldn't haul it in. Beek a little upset with him, you see there, and thought it was a catchable ball.
And that's a perfect scenario for me to allude back to that 3rd down and 1 where they tried to go for it and they went on that harder count and they got themselves out of position. Why not try, as you see a drop pass here, which is just straight lack of concentration? That's one of those situations. Why not go with a harder count? You got an eager defense. You got some new bodies out on the field. Maybe one of them will jump, and maybe you could have gotten a free down. Instead, they went on that quick count, and it resulted in incompletion. That's something that I think they can work on, and they can coach that up a little bit more. New receivers on the field again. Again, you're not going to be able to replace them all.
Running out of bounds was Brandon Riem. So Riem will...
and you'll see here on the replay, Brandon's eyes are down the field, and he decides, okay, you know what, I'm going to do this. But this time around, he gets out of bounds. I'd like to see him still tuck that ball away.
Yes.
But
he puts it way out there, doesn't he?
He ran out of bounds, and I'm pretty sure Coach LaShawn told him, you don't need to get hit.
No.
Protect yourself.
Coming up at halftime, Aaron Sanders will talk to both head coaches, and he also will chat with our color commentator, Badia Kwas, who is one of the conveners for Wexo football. So he'll be talking a little high school football, a little bit of a change, talking high school instead of junior football. Badia will give him some insight as to what to expect this season and where the Wexo football league stands. That's all coming up in about 5 seconds, Badia.
Yeah, for sure. And I look forward to starting up again for this football season. I know I missed last week's opener, but yeah, I love the sport. It's given so much to me. It's given so much to our community. I really do believe if there's a sport that requires such teamwork, it's football, and that alone is something that I cherish, and I believe it's an obligation for us to share with our youth.
Absolutely. Got to keep the kids active. Football, baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey, everything. Just get them active. Handoff, touchdown, Fratman, as running it in is D'Angelo Knox. And that will be the final play. Well, they'll do the point after, and that'll end the first half of play.
And you'll see here on the replay, a little jet sweep action. And you do see D'Angelo just realize, like, look, I got linemen pushing forward, moving the pile. Just hug them, pile into them. And you'll find your way into the end zone, and that is indeed the case, putting it at 64 with this extra point to come.
Andrew Beaton has been perfect so far today, and he continues to do so as that point is good. That'll end the first half of play. The score after 30 minutes of football here at the Alumni Field. It is a blowout, folks. The Windsor Fratmen 65, the Niagara Regional Raiders no score. Badi, I'm not going to ask you what Mike LaChante's going to say to his guys. What is Coach Dave Anderson going to say to his players?
Just do your job. You have to get it on film, and you got to be able to say, okay, you tried this play. Did everyone do their job? If you did their job and you're outmatched, you can live with that because you can build on that. You can get better. But if you go down and you look at a simple running play and 3 people missed their assignment because of a mental mistake, they went to the wrong person. Same thing with defense. Do your job so that when you get in film session, it's a constructive film session. This is what we did well, and this is what we can do better.
All right, good stuff. That's the story after the first half. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we'll check in with Aaron Saunders, our halftime report. This is OFC Football on we-tv.ca.
I learn by doing. I learn by reacting to a situation. St. Clair puts me directly into my industry. I'm dealing with real patients, real life situations. It's not just theory, it's not book work anymore.
I choose to take control of my future, and my path is St. Clair College. I choose to be here.
Like our champions, we know what it takes to win. Every day we put on our uniforms and we strive to be the best. Ring after ring, we keep practicing until it becomes second nature. Our craftsmen have put in thousands of hours to master their trade. And when things get tough, we make the adjustments needed to stay on top. Baron Championship rings. This is who we are.
Welcome back to Alumni Field here at the University of Windsor. It's 65-0 in favor of the Windsor FRATMEN. Joining me at the present time is the Niagara Raiders head coach, Brad Anderson. And Brad, it was a really tough first half for you guys, but what are some of the positives you could take in from this first half?
Well, the most important thing when that scores like that is that we just got to make plays. We got to make some more defensive plays, offensive plays, and we just got to keep competing. I mean, if we don't compete, it's going to get much worse.
Well, let's talk about the development of this team. I know this is a very young team, still in the growing pains. It's basically their second year in the OFC, and coming from a very sacred city when it's known to OFC action. How is this team adjusting to the St. Catharines area when it comes to the game of football?
Well, it's all about recruiting. You know, we're still trying to recruit down there, and we always got to recruit every day of the year. We don't have a large roster, but we're working on it. We're finally making headway with Brock University. They're student athletes, and we're already in with Niagara College, and we just got to keep going. And our relationship is a continuous building process with all the high school coaches in the area.
I'm hearing before the game, 16 players returning from last year, 16 new players coming in, and once again, Niagara is one of the mainstays when it comes to football, and they're trying to bring it up more to the Apex top form. How important is it to maintain a great football community in that area?
Well, their minor program in St. Catherine is where even the whole Niagara region, it's come a long way. Like, there's a lot of good coaches and a lot of good players, and as you know, there's a tremendous amount of players that come out every year and go to CIS camps and make CIS teams. So it is a hotbed. And we just got to keep working at what's in front of we have a vision, and the vision has to be we got to keep recruiting.
And that's the bottom line. Thank you for your time, Brad. Thank you. We're going to bring in Mike LaChance, and I'm sure he's very confident and very content about his lead going into halftime. Mike LaChance joining us right now, the head coach for the Windsor FRATMEN. Your thoughts on this first half?
You know, we did some good things, and we're just trying to kind of work on what we do. Right now, early in the season, expansion. They're going to have a little bit of a hard time. They're down numbers, and we're not really looking at the scoreboard. We're looking at what we do, and there's been some good signs. There's been some plays that we've kind of left on the field, so we're going to try to sharpen things up a little bit.
In accordance to last week, what were some of the improvements made that came to fruition here this afternoon?
Well, we're not taking a lot of dumb penalties. Last week we were probably a little too hyped up for the game. I know there was a lot of guys excited that Edmonton was coming down, and maybe we let our emotions spill over. And today I think we're a little bit more composed.
I remember hearing the coaching staff talk about discipline when it comes to this team. And once again, we have to reiterate for the fans that this is basically a brand new team with 37 new players coming in. How important is to maintain discipline into this team this season?
It's huge. I mean, I need the leaders on the team. I talked to Spencer Trinier before the game today, and he's a guy that's played in the CIS for the University of Windsor here, and we rely on him for his leadership, and he had multiple penalties last game for unsportsmanlike conduct, and he knows. We've talked about it, and he knows that he needs to be a better leader on this team, and guys like that should lead us on the field and off the field, so hopefully we get better as the year goes on.
And all the best to you for the rest of the second half. Thank you, Coach. 65-0 is the score. FRATMEN over the Niagara Raiders. We'll have more when we come back here at Alumni Field right after we take time out from this. You're watching FRATMEN football on we-tv.ca.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
It's new, it's fresh, it's innovative, it's WeTV. Windsor Essex Television, and you can watch it anywhere. www.we-tv.ca is the place to be. If it's sports, entertainment, or community events, WeTV has what you're looking for. The people, places, and faces of our community are front and center on WeTV. Check out www.we-tv.ca for what's being webcast live. WeTV, we got you covered.
Turn here, field side at halftime, and we're going to talk a little bit of high school football and the status of what's going on with it. So what's the status going on?
Well, camps officially open up for high schools next week, and it's going to be a eventful season once again. Of course, to no one's surprise, you expect the Herman and Holy Names matchup to be the premier matchup this season. Both programs are exceptionally well coached, and both programs have a tremendous amount of talent. What I am looking forward to this season is a number of teams to reintroduce themselves to the league. I expect the teams like Villanova and Sandwich to evolve. They both had good junior programs last year, and I expect them to be a rock-solid team. I'm hopeful that my own high school program, Essex, can keep up some of the success we've experienced the last handful of years. And on a whole, I believe the league is going to be quite strong. I'm hopeful that everything goes to plan. We have our organizational meeting coming up in the first week of school.
On to this upcoming high school season.
I believe the league rules, the high school rules, the OFIA rules, they're really making it an emphasis, which of course is important. You have to be well aware. Coaches are going to have to be protect our student athletes.
And what's the best thing when it comes to watching all these high school teams and athletes play? Would it be the development of them? We'll probably see them in the CFL sometime soon, right?
Well, the reality of it is it's just seeing them become contributing members of society. I said it earlier to Dominic in our broadcast that this game here is the epitome of teamwork. And the most important thing that we can do as former players and as spokesmen for this game is to share what we have, to make this game available to these young student athletes, because it teaches them hard work, commitment, teamwork, communication, things along those lines that are absolutely critical to become contributing members of society. The reality of it is, of all the high school kids we ever see, a very, very small percentage are going to make a career out of this. We need them to have fun. We need them to enjoy the experience. We need them to learn from the experience. And football gives them a whole wealth of knowledge.
And most important, among those lines, the most important thing would be discipline when it comes to them as they're growing up.
Yes, discipline. Nowadays, it's very easy to discipline a young kid by giving them a tablet and telling them to be quiet. But I believe football brings a slightly different challenge. It forces them sometimes to get out of their comfort zone, but to remain calm, yet to be aggressive when allowed. And that is a hard thing to teach. Discipline doesn't always mean being passive. It's also being aggressive when you're allowed to be. And football brings that out in these athletes, that passive aggression and discipline in both the classroom and on the football field and hopefully in life.
And no question about it. Kids, you heard it here first. Discipline, the knowledge, it could all happen on the field and off the field. But we're going to return with Badi and Dom calling the game for the second half in Alumni Field. Once again, it's the Raiders taking on the Fratmen. Fratmen with a 65-0 score. We'll come back right after these words of interest. You're watching Fratmen football on WeTV.
I learn by doing. I learn by reacting to a situation. St. Clair puts me directly into my industry. I'm dealing with real patients, real life situations. It's not just theory, it's not book work anymore.
I choose to take control of my future, and my path is St. Clair College. I choose to be here.
Like our champions, we know what it takes to win. Every day we put on our uniforms and we strive to be the best. Ring after ring, we keep practicing until it becomes second nature. Our craftsmen have put in thousands of hours to master their trade. And when things get tough, we make the adjustments needed to stay on top. Baron Championship rings. This is who we are.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
It's new, it's fresh, it's innovative, it's WeTV, Windsor Essex Television, and you can watch it anywhere. www.we-tv.ca is the place to be. If it's sports, entertainment, or community events, WeTV has what you're looking for. The people, places, and faces of our community are front and center on WeTV. Check out www.we-tv.ca for what's being webcast live. WeTV, we got you covered.
Welcome back to Alumni Field, OFC football here on we-tv.ca. Dominic Papa along with Badia Kwas. Aaron Sanders working the sidelines for us, and of course, the hard-working crew here, the outstanding crew here at we-tv.ca. Glad to have you along with us. Have a little bit of a blowout going here this afternoon. One team that's very well established, the Windsor FRATMEN, taking on a rebuilding Niagara Regional Raiders team. 65-0 after the first half of this game. And I'm sure both coaches will tell their players to be careful. Some other action coming up here on WeTV tomorrow. Be our second day of coverage of the Ontario Ball Hockey Federation Provincial Championships. We did 2 games last night. Semi-final game at 3 p.m., the D Division Championship game at 5 p.m., and the B Division final at 6 p.m. We'll have all of that action for you live tomorrow out at the Forest Glade Arena, the Ontario Ball Hockey Federation Provincial Championships. Those games are going on today, and we'll have to wait and see who will be playing on our broadcast tomorrow. But very excited to be there, and again, hats off to Brian Anthony for putting an outstanding tournament together, bringing it to our area. A lot of teams visiting us. It fills up the hotels, the restaurants, stuff like that. The Windsor FRATMEN, of course, they'll be in action next week. Here's a look at their schedule for the remainder of the year. Next week, as mentioned, the GTA Grizzlies will be here. Then it's up to the nation's capital on September 2nd to take on the Sooners. London the week after that. Hamilton, a rematch of the championship last year with the Hurricanes. They will see this Niagara team one more time. So it's 3 straight games to start here at home, 4 on the road, and then they come back to finish with the London Beefeaters. We don't even get to see Ottawa or Hamilton here this year, Badi, which, wow, ouch.
Ouch,
those are great
correct.
games all the time, but it's the way the schedule works, and that's what's still to come for the FRATMEN football season. So hopefully it all works out, and you know what, we won't be back here after next week until October, but of course you could follow the FRATMEN at their website or on our website, we-tv.ca. Stuart Carter, our outstanding statistician, along with Nolan Campbell, do a great job of keeping everybody posted as to the teams that we're covering regularly here on WeTV. And don't forget the other programming here on WeTV. I'll get you some insight on it throughout the broadcast. But very busy times at WeTV, and we're certainly glad and excited to be part of this outstanding community here in Windsor and Essex. One of those shows right there, Infotainment with Tony Bruner. For all of your local and area entertainment news, Tony has it all for you. A new show every Wednesday here on WeTV. Second half action underway. The FRATMEN take the kick. This is Jacoby Jones running it back. A flag on the play comes out. Jones still up all the way down to about the Niagara, they're going to spot it, it looks like at about the 44 maybe. But there is a flag back there.
Yeah, the flag is, it looked like it was a block in the back, so that's likely the product as you see the entire officiating staff pointing in the direction of the FRATMEN backfield, which means this ball is going to go all the way back as Alex Jemmy walks the ball back. And while we do get a moment to find this spot here, though, thanks, though, Dominic, to you and to WeTV. Obviously, local sports is very important to me. It's very important to our community. And you do a wonderful job of showcasing a lot of our talent, and it's appreciated, because that's one thing we do take pride here in Windsor, Essex, is the fact that this is a very, very passionate sports hub.
It really is, and again, I've been very fortunate going on my 32nd year of covering sports in our area, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't change anything for anything in the world. It's just been an outstanding area to be a part of, and always loved the sports here, and I've had a chance to make some great friends, including yourself. And I remember covering you when you were a FRATMEN player, and you were a great one there. So it's been very, very, very just gratifying to be part of it all, that's for sure. Now we've got this WeTV thing taking off, and I'll tell you what, this group that we have here is just going to bring it to another level, and just got a great crew here at WeTV, and we're going to do some great things down the road here. So it's all good. It's all win-win, and you know what? We're going to, as our slogan is, WeTV Windsor, Windsor Essex Television brings Windsor and Essex County to the world, and thanks to the World Wide Web, we do just that. So it's a great way to showcase our area in many different ways.
Yeah, and the reality of it is, today's day and age, everyone with their mobile devices, everything, it's instant access, and it's great. It's great for out-of-town guests too. You never know, a family in Niagara, a family in St. Catharines, family somewhere watching their kid. It provides them an opportunity to see. We have no problem showcasing our talent, that's for sure. And the reality of it is, there are opportunities for parents.
I can tell you, Coach Anderson watched our broadcast last week, so he was working, doing some homework, and he was very complimentary towards our broadcast, and I certainly appreciate it, and have nothing but the utmost respect for Coach Anderson and his kind words and what he's doing with this program, and I really do wish him well getting this thing to where he believes it can be. And again, if his energy rubs off, like I said earlier, they're going to be fine, this Niagara program. But that's part of it. You're right, Badi. I mean, parents get to watch it that can't travel and things like that. And of course, here in Windsor, we like them to be at the games and enjoy it. But it's available if they can't make it. Jones with another fine run. He gets out to about the 38-yard line. That'll be obviously a first down.
A couple things to note here. One is that Brandon Riem is still in the game, which trust me, I know that you might think, well, why is your number one quarterback? They do not have a number two. Their number two that they thought they had isn't on their sideline today. I don't know if he's going to be back with their team. And the fact is, they haven't really repped anyone else. Preseason, you're leading up to your big game against Edmonton. You're giving your number one most of the reps. So this might just be, hey, we're going to hand the ball off to our stable of backs in the backfield and try to get these guys as many carries as possible. As you see a good play in the defensive backfield here for Niagara, which now stops the FRATMEN's roll.
Actually, that's a loss. That's the first play, I believe, where the FRATMEN have lost yardage.
Yeah, it's the first time it looked like they tried to run counter Trey, and at this point in time, the defensive end set that wonderfully hard edge and did not allow Jacoby to work his way to the perimeter, and that was a good defensive stand by Niagara. Now they got to convert this into a punting situation.
Liam Garvey, number 12, was the first to get to Jones. And then it was Garvey jumping back in there to finish it off with a couple of other teammates. Riem sets up the screen. Jones, the receiver, and he might be a yard short of the first down yardage needed. Looks like he's going to be about a yard short.
Yeah, and that was a simple little screen pass. They run a little action away, and they backside screen to the running back as he leaks out into the backfield. Had some decent blocking. You'll see here in the replay, little run action to the right. Jacoby Jones just leaks out, lets the defensive end leak behind him, catches the ball. Had some blockers out in front. Going to bring up a 3rd and 1 situation. And I believe last week this is one of those situations where the FRATMEN got stood up and did not get it.
Yeah, they did.
So they need to practice this as well.
And not that time. Jones just bowls his way to the first down. He's a hard-nosed runner, but
he is definitely. And the young man is not that tall, but he runs powerfully. And like I said earlier in one of his first carries, he never seems to get squared up and hit. And that's a good thing if you're a running back. You minimize the number of big collisions you end up with. He's shifty, and that deflects some of the point of contact impact.
Another handoff this time. It's Mitch Damchuk making his presence felt in the game.
They just run a little inside trap here to the fullback, and Mitch did. Like you'll see here on the handoff, just a little inside zone running play. I don't like the fact that he switched his hand and moved the ball back to the inside. He could have stiff-armed a defender, but there you see him run over number 4, Cam McPherson, who I believe serves as their punter as well. So he's usually probably not comfortable with contact. But nonetheless, you do see a good run from their 4th running back, because they've given the ball now to McCraney, they've given it to Jacoby, they've given it to D'Angelo, and now they've given it to Damchuk. I don't know how many more running backs they have on their depth chart. I know they've moved a couple of the offensive line in. They can't really do too much more with that because they don't have more than the 7 offensive linemen on their active roster today. As you take a look at the FRATMEN coaching staff,
Coach McCurdy there with in the gray T-shirt, Coach LaChance with the sunglasses, and Coach Mike Morency, who was the head coach when you were playing, Biddy.
He was. Coach Morency was my first 3 years playing for the FRATMEN was the head coach, and then I coached with Mike a number of years
at the university.
At the University of Windsor as well.
I remember that well. Shoestring tackle there. Josh Ferrucci coming up with that tackle.
And there's a positive to build on. They've run that play successfully 8, 9, 10 times. You see your linebacker come in and make a fill. Good. This is, again, one of those downs where you have to treat it like a discrete individual event. Let's force them to punt. So then you can get work on whether it's punt block, punt return, whatever you want to work on. You have to get better on all elements of the game. So right now, their 2nd and long situation, they got to get a stop.
Looks like Jones right in the neighborhood of that first down yardage needed.
Yeah, and maybe a ball short. Maybe a ball short, because I think he has to cross the 29. And I think he's just short of the 29.
Yeah, they didn't get the good spot, that's for sure. And yeah, they're about half a football short, maybe. 3rd and inches. That's what we'll call it. Well, I don't know, but it's going to be close.
Yeah. Now, based on the umpire, Alex Jemmy, it looks like he has the ball across the 29 at about the
it's close. It's
29
really close.
And a ball length line, which would be enough. And here you'll see on the replay that the defensive end, the defensive tackle, and the linebacker converged. If he got it, he is just barely. And it looks like they're not even going to measure. They're just going to indicate, because he just had to get the nose over that 29, and he did. However, a good effort. That's 3 plays where they mounted 10 total yards, which has been less than their average, because the Fratmen got to be averaging close to double-digit yards per play today. I like the intensity, though, the defense has come out with.
Yeah, again, Coach Anderson took the guys off away to the field, and I'm sure he had a good chat with them. Appreciate him giving us some time at halftime with our Aaron Saunders. And again, I like his approach. I think he's the right man to be leading this program to get it back to being that competitive team that he wants. Riem gets to the first down marker and alertly out of bounds.
Yeah, and I had an interesting conversation with Brandon on my way down to do the halftime interview. Brandon comes up to me and says, "That was a terrible pick, eh, Coach?" I said, "Yes, it was. You can't throw across your body." But the next thing I told him, I said, "Listen, when you're out of the pocket and you're running, protect yourself. Do not take another big hit." And fortunately, now, like, he didn't even hesitate. He just turned his shoulders and got out of bounds.
You may be on the brain there.
So, because he is talented, and I think he has the potential to lead this team. He brings some of the similar elements that Austin Lumley, the last couple years, that moxie about playing that quarterback. But the one thing is, he is a little faster, maybe a little more athletic than Austin was. And now it's his time to take this over. As you see, again, this is Damchuk trying to power his way for about a 6-yard run.
Mitch Damchuk with the carry into the 10-yard line. 2nd and 2.
2nd and 2, they're going to call it as we take another look at that play.
I really do love the effort right now that Niagara is putting forth.
Yeah.
I haven't once questioned their effort, and that is so easy to do when you're down 65-0, to just sort of pack it in. Kudos on the coach, kudos on the players, the entire sideline for trying to stay engaged. Yes, this game is probably going to go pretty quickly in the second half. I'm sure both coaches have agreed to run the clock a little bit more liberally in the second half, but good for them for at least trying to keep that competitive balance.
Riem didn't like what he saw there, so he alertly calls a timeout and wants to make sure everybody's on the same page here as Coach LaChanze has made his way out towards Riem.
Okay, so there's a growing pain, and hopefully this is something that Brandon and Coach LaChanze are able to say, all right, why did you call a timeout? What did you see? What was confusing? So maybe next time, in maybe a game where it's a little bit more important, where the timeout could be a little bit more valuable later in the game, Brandon isn't confused, and he says, I think I saw this before. So even in the conference doesn't have to be very, very long. And right now you do see Coach LaChanze talking to Mr. Carter. They're probably discussing some element of one of the previous plays, but I don't hear voices. I haven't heard anyone yell, and Lord knows we haven't really seen the referees too much today, so that's all a good thing.
Yeah. Yep. So the Fratmen talk it over, see where they go with it now. It's a 2nd down and 2 yards to go. They're at the Niagara 10-yard line. .5:45 and counting down. Touchdown Fratmen, but there is a flag on the play. Punching it into the end zone was Brandon McCraney, but there is a flag.
I love the way McCraney runs. Let's get that straight.
Oh,
he saw a seam and he just said, I'm going through it. Now, that being said, I believe you're going to see a penalty against the Fratmen. I'm not sure who exactly the number 1 receiver on the outside was, but it was a receiver who did indeed look like it was a push in the back or some sort of hold.
Push in the back right there.
There it is. It wasn't a block from the back, which is different. That's a major foul. A push from the back.
Get another look at it. Yes,
my guess is Thomas Puyol. And if you'll see on the left side of your screen, you'll see number 20 come in right there.
Right there.
And his hands were on the small of the back. Not needed. That's why it was a push, not a block, a UR, an unnecessary roughness type, but indeed a penalty. You can't do that. The ref, he's right in front of you. He's going to see your hands on the back of his jersey.
fumble. That ball is fumbled. And I believe Niagara came up with it.
And that is exactly why you keep playing tough. These guys, a credit to them, credit to their coaches. You know, they forced. This is the first time the Fratmen have seen any kind of resistance going down the field. And when you give resistance, and you'll see here on the replay, Jacoby's going to get into some contact right now with a linebacker, and he meets some resistance. He tries to do too much as the troops rally. There were 4, 5, 6 in our screen there, Niagara Raiders. That's a credit to them. Good for them. Now let's see if the offense can at the very least maybe get, my goal for them would be 3 first downs and punt from the close to midfield and see if they can force the Fratmen deep into their own end.
Josh Perusi came up with the fumble recovery for Niagara. Quick hitch pass here from Mitchell as he finds John Peel, number 5.
All right, a positive play. Looks like he got about 4 yards. It's going to make second down manageable.
John Peel with the carry. For a gain of 4.
That play against this Fratman defensive secondary is not likely going to get much more than those yards.
No.
So I do believe they're going to have to try to run something at least 8 yards down the field and complete an 8-yard pass. These defensive backs seem to be flying today. They have been all around the ball, and they actually have made almost every tackle. I don't think I've seen a defensive back miss a tackle when given the opportunity. There hasn't been many, but they've made the sure-handed tackle on the outside.
Mitchell rolling left, airs it out, and the intended receiver, I couldn't quite make out the number, fell on the play.
Yeah, he did
Coverage
fall.
was there as Ishmael Johnson was in coverage for the Fratmen.
And I believe that was Goody Bailey, his number 1 target, number 80, who was looking to run that corner route. I love the fact that they tried to move the pocket again. They did that. You'll see here in the replay that there was just a pileup. He just fell on his own. What I would like to have seen Mitchell done there was continue his rollout. By himself more time. He probably would have seen his receiver fall, and he might have been able to check down to another receiver. But, again, he's seen a lot of pressure all day. I can't blame him for trying to get rid of the ball pretty quickly.
Yeah. Punt unit comes in for the Raiders. Cam McPherson stands at about his 5-yard line. Bobbles a snap. That was a good snap that time, Badi.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. They had 4 or 5 positives in a row. Good defensive plays, some good tackles. They forced a turnover, a good first down play. Punting wasn't a terrible option, but then obviously you see Cam just drop the ball. I don't know if he's a regular punter. I do see that he's listed as a defensive back.
Yeah, I don't see anybody like that's a punter place kicker at all in the lineup.
So now the Fratmen are really set up with great field position.
Yep, first and goal from, the 7-yard line.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Coach LaChance called a pass play here. Again, the Raiders aren't stopping the run either. It's easy just to hand the ball off to D'Angelo or to Brandon McCraney or to anybody, and they can power it in, but maybe get some of these younger receivers a chance to catch the ball.
Here's Knox, and he goes in for the touchdown. D'Angelo Knox, number 6.
Yeah.
A very slick runner.
He is. He's talented. You'll see here on the replay, he just put his foot in the ground and said, okay, there's the hole. I'm going straight through it. I like the fact that in this case, he had that ball firmly pressed against his upper chest without any real risk of losing it because that ball looked like it was nicely tucked in his grasp.
This will be the last play of the quarter.
This will be the final play of the quarter.
Perfect on the kicks.
And Beaton continues to be perfect with his kicks. So after 3 complete quarters of play, Mike LaChance and Mike Morency right there smiling, rightfully so, as they lead at 72-0. A quick timeout. We come back. It's the call of the 4th quarter. This is OFC Football on we-tv.ca.
Like our champions, we know what it takes to win. Every day we put on our uniforms and we strive to be the best. Ring after ring, we keep practicing until it becomes second nature. Our craftsmen have put in thousands of hours to master their trade. And when things get tough, we make the adjustments needed to stay on top. Baron Championship rings. This is who we are.
I don't think I'm going. I got season tickets. I don't think I'm going.
That's the score here. Dominic Pop along with Badie Quas, WE-TV coverage of OFC football here. The Fratmen in control of this one right from the get-go against a rebuilding Niagara Raiders team. And that looked like that ball came loose for a second there anyways, Badie. Isaac Beek with the return, number 17.
Yeah. But that was one of the first times the ball was actually fielded in the air and didn't fumble around. And you're rewarded with half-decent field position.
Yeah, they're actually at their own 30-yard line. They haven't had a very good field position at all today, and that's a credit, to the Fratmen for sure. But again, this is a young, struggling Niagara team that's going through some growing pains, that's for sure.
I just hope for Niagara's sake that they go into a game and they actually feel like they can win sooner than later, because I know the coach's best intentions are to build and build and build, but nothing breeds success more than winning. Not that you have to be win at all costs, but just that concept, we're getting closer. It's hard to measure against top-end teams like the Fratmen, but you hope when they play GTA, you hope when they play London, you hope when they play some of these other teams that they can be way more competitive and possibly even win one.
Mitchell looking over the middle. That's going to be picked off. Coming up with it was Jalen Butcher, number 21 of the Fratmen. As Mitchell just overthrew his target, Badie.
Yeah, and Bryson he was just looking straight to throw vertical. Didn't even realize that there was a free safety. He just turned his shoulders and wound up and threw. I don't like that. I know maybe he's trying to hit his favorite receiver, his most reliable receiver, but that's not good quarterback play. And if I'm going to coach him up, I want him to at least identify pre-snap. Look, that hawk is over the top of that. You have a free safety just waiting for the ball. Don't throw it up for grabs. That being said, the Niagara Raiders do have a second quarterback listed, Devin Duhame. I don't know if it's time to maybe see if he's capable of doing some things, but you can't do much worse, so you might as well maybe give your backup some reps and see if that's a possibility moving forward.
Duhame wears the number 9 jersey. Riem hands off. I believe that's the first touch of the game for Abdullah Asfour.
Yeah, and that's the 5th ball carrier to get that, get the rock, and he picked up 5.5 yards on the carry. Actually, they're marking it a full 6. Going to bring up 2nd and 4.
2nd and 4.
And you have these, the Fratmen are just trying to look to keep things quite simple, is my guess. You're going to see just line up, hand the ball off inside, and that is again the case. And this time you see number 32, and it's Jacob Broad, who is the 6th different ball carrier to carry the ball today, and he powers his way forward to the, looks like the 28, 29 yard line, 29 officially, for another first down. So there's the 6th different ball carrier now. I'm not sure if one single ball carrier has more than 10 carries in this entire game, but collectively they're all averaging.
Maybe D'Angelo Knox. He's the only one that really comes to mind. Or, well, Jacoby Jones.
Possibly one of them have 10 carries.
One of those might have 10. This is Asfour again. Abdullah asked for number 31.
And the one thing I do like to see when you are trying to run the ball and run with power is that both running backs are trying to block and help each other out. In this case, Abdullah had the ball, and it was Jacob who was lead blocking, and they tried to move the pile forward. You don't get very many plays in the course of the season if you're the fourth or fifth running back, but when you're on the field, you don't always have to have the rock, and you can earn your playing time by showing that you're a good blocker, and this is a great opportunity for both these guys to possibly buy some carries later in the year.
Graham looks to the end zone this time. He had McCraney in the area.
I'll chalk that up to inexperience. Brandon McCraney is more of a running back, and he's now running a slot fade. I'm not sure how comfortable a smaller receiver is stemming and branching that to the corner, because I'm assuming Brandon was trying to throw that to his outside.
Of course, we want to again thank our presenting partner of Fratman Football here on WeTV, Harold Remark from Royal LePage Binder Real Estate. Harold, if you need any real estate work done, Harold is your man. One of the most experienced realtors in our area and a proud supporter of Fratman Football. Thank you to Harold for his continued support. Field goal attempt here for the Fratmen has, excuse me, Andrew Beaton comes in. The kick is up, and that's going to go wide right.
And the kick is wide.
And taken down in the end zone is Cam McPherson. So that field goal try, it looked like it was about a 31-yarder, Badie, and it went wide right.
And the Fratmen do get the single point.
Yeah.
I do like that one thing. That was tremendous coverage. It's Canada. That ball can be returned the distance. And you did see tremendous coverage downfield from that coverage unit of the field goal team, which you never know when that point's going to be important later. So it's another building point for the Fratmen. They see it on film. They might say, okay, we can do this a little bit better, or in this case, that was well done. Let's build on that and make sure that if we do need a point, you can secure it by kicking it deep into the end zone and then covering it accordingly.
So it makes it 73-0. The point is added, and 1st and 10 for the Niagara Raiders at their own 35-yard line. We do have a new quarterback in, Badie. Number 9 has come into the game. We just talked about Devin Duhame, who takes over from Mitchell.
All right, and I mean it's a 1-yard run. That was number 24, David Velez, who carried the ball there. But I'm guessing it was the right time to put Devin in. Maybe against a softer defensive unit, there are a number of backups out there already that you can find something from Devin, who moving forward, you never know if an injury happens. Maybe Bryson Mitchell is your guy, but you also have to coach for the what ifs, and this gives you an opportunity to see on film if Devin is capable of leading your team if he had to.
Devin Duhame and the quarterback for the Niagara.
Number 9, Devin Duhame. Try to get something positive going here for Niagara. High snap, he hauls it in. Gets the pass off, looks over the middle of the field, and it looked like it was picked off for a moment. Ken Levesque, number 9, had his hands on it, but he didn't control it.
I will say this. That was the first time I did see a quarterback try to move the safety, and he actually did move the safety a little because Levesque was coming from the half. You'll see to him, he's going to look left, and then check back to the right. That I don't mind. He had a receiver open, but that, again, you look at those situations there, he was a little underthrown. Maybe he doesn't have as much arm talent, but he showed something that I like. He looked off, came back to his receiver. If he had maybe a stronger arm, he might have completed that because it looked like number 80, Goody Bailey, was open.
Duhame looking left now. And there's a flag on a play. Might be interference here, Badie.
Yeah. I don't know. If I'm a defensive coordinator, if I'm Coach Morency, they have not gotten a first down yet this entire game. I still do not believe they have one. And now they got a first one because of a penalty. I think that's just a normal hand check in the course of play. I don't want to be overly critical of the call at 73-0, but I'm going to stand here and say if I'm a defensive coach and I'm trying to keep these guys not only shut out, but also keep them off the first down stat line, which is a challenge in itself. You don't get that opportunity very often. They get one by penalty now.
They do indeed get a first down. It's 1st and 10 at their own 51-yard line for Niagara. Duhame looking right, intended for Goody Bailey there. Doesn't connect.
Yeah, he had him.
He did. He's kind of, it looks like he's hurrying his pass, but
yeah, he's, you can tell he's just a little young, inexperienced. I think if he would have just turned his shoulders just a little bit more, he might have had a little bit more accuracy. On the same token, though, maybe they're setting something up because I did see somebody go right along the numbers on that last play and vertical. So maybe they're trying to set up a little decoy, maybe get a home run and break this shutout, which, the FRATMEN, they want this shutout.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That hitch pass there goes astray as
they were bailed out there, that everybody stopped. That was a backwards pass. That ball should not have been blown dead. That ball went behind the quarterback. And again, if I'm either coach, I don't want that blown dead. I want my guys responding. I want that ball picked up every opportunity you get. I believe that was clearly a backwards pass, but again, the dynamics, 4 minutes left in a 73-0 game. The safer play is just to call incomplete pass.
Third down and 10 for Niagara. Duhame takes a pretty good hit as he releases the ball, and a good play by the receiver, actually, to come back and not allow the FRATMEN player to intercept that ball, actually.
No doubt. He knew he had to turn and play DB at that point in time. So there was no question that David Raza had to play defense there. But, yes, Duhame just got hit, and he hit right in the chest as he was trying to deliver the ball.
Dante Fornacero looked like he had a beat on that ball, and again,
and we have a winner for 50-50 draw today. Her name is Simone. Congratulations, Simone.
And now it looks like there's some more juggling, trying to switch up a couple of the offensive line. Most of the vets want off, but they know they can't get off. So they're trying to juggle who is coming off each series. Oh, no, it's my turn off. You were just off. I don't want to be on. It's your. And with 7 of them, just make sure 5 are on the field. And we do have a new quarterback, and that looks like it's D'Angelo Knox.
I was just going to say, D'Angelo Knox has taken over the quarterback position here.
He's got the wristband on, so I'm not sure if they have a package designed specifically. I did ask Coach LaChance who his backup is, and he says in an emergency it would be D'Angelo. And it's obviously a spread run option type because he is a primary running back. Do they have a Wildcat type package in where it's just for him? Possibly. But this early in the season, how many reps have you probably given it? Not many, likely.
Knox keeps that time. Just over 2 minutes to go in this one. FRATMEN will improve to 1-1. Niagara will be 0-1. FRATMEN again will be at home again next weekend on Saturday, August 26th. It'll be week number 3 for them, and they will host the GTA Grizzlies. We'll have that game for you here on we-tv.ca.
Off to Samuel Tashani.
Samuel Tashani, I believe that's his first touch of the afternoon, but number 24.
That's the 7th ball carrier now. And he did pick up positive yards. And, of course, fatigue is setting in now for these Raiders.
For sure.
A lot of their guys having to play both ways. And you'll see here, there's a look at Brandon Riem. I like the fact that he's up. He's still watching the game. He's engaged. That's what a leader has to be able to do. He has to be able to watch, and now he's just looking at his guys perform. And he's a very, very nice young man, and I'm sure he's going to give as much guidance as possible if he sees something goes wrong, as you see D'Angelo Knox keep after the read option and trundle forward for what amounts to another first down, which likely going to be the kneel down formation soon.
Final seconds winding down here as the clock continues to run. Maybe one more play here, Badi.
Yeah, I wish they would just not have to run the last play, but in Canada, even when there's zeros on the clock, one more play has to be run, so there's going to be at least one more after this, unless the refs really stop all the action. And there's Brandon McCraney on a little jet sweep around the corner.
Going left and gets inside the 10 to about the 6-yard line.
I'm going to love that hustle for Cale Reeve. He just ran right across the formation. He says, you know what?
Don't let you score.
Yeah, don't. You're not going to score one more. It would have been easy just to sort of not run him down. But there was about 2 seconds left on the clock before that play expired. So this is the last play.
Final play of the game coming up here. Unless, of course, there's penalty flags. Some of the fans calling for another touchdown here. They have a belly full of points here today, that's for sure. And in does go Brandon McCraney.
Now, I'm not sure if Brandon actually had a touchdown earlier. He had one called back earlier. So he again, maybe it's just reps. Good timing on the play, good mesh with D'Angelo, and Brandon's just going to work his way up the sideline, up the hash, and turn it up the field and in for the touchdown. And that's going to bring us to the official last play, barring any kind of flag. We have this extra point to see if Windsor can round this up to a 80-point play, which is indeed the case. And there's the indication that the game is over, and the FRATMEN have finished this game off to move to 1-1 with an 80-0 victory.
But quickly, what does Coach LaChance and the staff now? I mean, obviously this is a very positive victory for them, and the programs are in 2 different places right now between Niagara and Windsor. But what does he have to be careful of this game going into preparation for GTA? I mean, he can't allow the players become complacent, obviously. But what else does he have to be careful of as he preps for GTA next week?
Well, I think the most important thing is going to be cleaning up some of the simple mistakes. You're always going to make mistakes. There is no question about it. But complacency leads to simple mistakes. And those are the things. I know you said you don't want them to get too complacent. You don't want them to say, oh, we're too good, we can beat them. Look at the film and say, guys, you're better than this. Yes, if you made an effort mistake, Jacoby fumbled. He was running. He was trying to break a tackle. That's an effort type play. Okay, you want to hold on to the ball? Hold on to the ball. But if you're looking at the film and you're saying, guys, you were up by 30, you were up by 40, you were up by 50, you misaligned, or you sort of took this play off, or you didn't finish the play, the complacency has to be pointed out on film so that moving forward, the next time you win, and hopefully as you see the teams shake hands, the next time maybe you put a team behind by 40, 50, you don't see the same simple complacent mistakes, because then you can play 4 quarters of football when it matters.
Absolutely. Good stuff, Badi. Great job as always. Love talking football with you, that's for sure. Brought, again, a great knowledge to our broadcast. Appreciate your help this afternoon. We're going to let you sign off for the afternoon. We're going to take a quick time out here at Alumni Field. When we come back, Aaron Sanders will have his post-game interview with, I'm sure, one of the coaches from the FRATMEN squad. We'll have that for you right after these messages. This is OFC Football on we-tv.ca.
I learn by doing. I learn by reacting to a situation. St. Clair puts me directly into my industry. I'm dealing with real patients, real life situations. It's not just theory. It's not book work anymore.
I choose to take control of my future, and my path is St. Clair College. I choose to be here.
Like our champions, we know what it takes to win. Every day we put on our uniforms and we strive to be the best. Ring after ring, we keep practicing until it becomes second nature. Our craftsmen have put in thousands of hours to master their trade. And when things get tough, we make the adjustments needed to stay on top. Baron Championship rings. This is who we are.
We return here to Alumni Field where the FRATMEN beat the Niagara Raiders 80-0. I'm standing by with one of the coaches for the FRATMEN, Mike Morency, and convincing victory to say the least, but how were you guys able to click on all cylinders once the kickoff was started?
Well, I mean, I think after last week's game, we were a week ahead of these guys. They didn't play last week, so we had a game in the bucket ace. That really helps us out, and so we were a heck of a lot sharper than they were, I think, because we had the one game, in advance of this game today. So that helped a bunch, that's for sure.
What is your thoughts on these new players on this squad? I mean, 37 new players, as we keep on mentioning. Like, how big of the impact are they to this team?
Everybody's important. Roster spot 1 through whatever. Everybody's got a job to, whether it be on special teams or a viable backup, whatever it might be. And we try to put kids in the best slot they can to help us out. And you saw some nice stuff. Kid Mitch Damchuk, real nice running back out of Sarnia, had a nice hit. They blocked well, had a couple nice runs. Young kid, hey, he's gonna earn himself some more carries now because of how he played today.
And what's going to be the message for next week's game?
Continue to work hard at practice every night, get better at what we do. We're crisper than we were last week, and we got to get a little bit better every week. So it's a week-by-week progression. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, and you just got to get a little bit better every week.
Coach Morency, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Back upstairs to you, Dom.
And thanks a lot, Coach Morency. And Coach Morency always puts things in perspective so well. And again, this Niagara team, you know what? I think there is some light at the end of the tunnel here for this squad, and under Coach Saunders' guidance, I think they'll be all right. Tomorrow afternoon, the WeTV crew will be back in action. 3 o'clock, we'll be on air live at the Forest Glade Arena, the Ontario Ball Hockey Federation Championships. 3 o'clock will be a semi-final game. 5 p.m., I believe, will be the D Championship final. 6 p.m. will be the B final, so a lot of great ball hockey coverage coming up here on WeTV. And as for the Windsor AQ FRATMEN, we'll be back here a week from today. It'll be the GTA Grizzlies in town to take on the FRATMEN. Again, the time has not been established yet, but the game will be played here at Alumni Field. Again, we're anticipating an early afternoon start, but nothing confirmed. Check on the FRATMEN website or check at we-tv.ca. Of course, we'll have the announcement as soon as it is confirmed and get it up for those that are following FRATMEN football. So that's the story here this afternoon. The FRATMEN convincingly defeat the Niagara Raiders by an 80-0 count. They improved to 1-1, hoping to go back into the winning column again next week. Until then, though, this is Dominic Papa thanking you for tuning in. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you all again very soon.